bubbles in the air.
He's back, our friend from up north. Why, hey man?
Your Geordie accent's getting better, Baz. I've told you every time.
I've been practicing. Do you know what I keep watching? Keep watching that video. Declan Reese. How much would you lot love him up there? How good is he? Come on, you've got to be honest now. You weren't quite with it last time. He's better than that Longstaff, isn't he?
Which Longstaff are you on about?
Well, both of them put together.
No, he's a good player, mate. It'd just be a shame when he goes to Chelsea next year, isn't it?
It does seem that way, mate, unfortunately. Baz is giving it the big one.
Take him out, mate. Take him out of the
Yeah.
Hopefully he'll start the first game now. If he starts that, we got a chance. We'll probably get 3 points. 3 points on the ball, 3 above you, haven't we?
Well, that's why we're here, mate. We've had a big meltdown over the last 24 hours, and it's been a pretty toxic place to be a West Ham fan, and it's another kick in the teeth for us, really. So we're hoping today that you can tell us that you're just as bad, and that it's not just doom and gloom on our side, and we might have a chance of winning that first game. So we'll get into that in a minute. But obviously, as a supporter who's not in the West Ham bubble, did you pick up on just how bad things were kicking off yesterday on the West Ham side of things?
Obviously, you used to know a lot more than me, of course, but Dean Garner is obviously a player that has caused a stir because obviously West Brom are put in a bid which I think West Ham are willing to accept. I also heard something on the lines of it. I think more or less West Ham have to sell before they buy in terms of financially. I don't quite understand that, to be brutally honest with you. I think West Ham get a lot of money every year for being in the Premier League as it is, and I know there hasn't been fans in the ground, but that still doesn't excuse the fact that West Ham will have money to spend. So I don't quite understand why they can't go out and buy a few players, considering, let's be brutally honest, I think both of us are going to be in a relegation battle next season. And you're going to need a few more reinforcements. But the Dean Garner one, I find absolutely baffling. I really
do. You have money? Are you buying? Have you bought already, or are you looking at signings?
We've got 2 free signings at the minute. Jeff Hendrick in from Burnley. We've also got the third choice goalkeeper, so nothing to worry about on that one. But in terms of other players, Callum Wilson's the one that seems to be our first choice striker. We want to try and bring to the club. He seems to be Steve Bruce's #1 target, and he done pretty well in a very poor Bournemouth team last year. So he's probably our #1 target. He's actually my #1 target in terms of a striker. I think he's a handful, and I think he can create a lot of chances on his own, if I'm being brutally honest. And I think he would fit right into how we play. But we also have to Ryan Fraser, again another Bournemouth player, but obviously he's a free agent.
Do you want him?
I think he'd be a good. I think he'd be a good sign for us, Baz.
No, mate. I like him as a player, but he's done my nut. He has, after the way he treated Bournemouth when he said he wouldn't play after lockdown because of his contract. That showed me he's got no loyalty to anyone, and that's why I like him. But I wouldn't want him at West Ham for that reason. Wilson's a good player. I agree with you. I'd have him at West Ham. Not a lot of West Ham fans would, but I would. He's proven to score in the Premier League. But what about Super Andy Carroll, mate? I've seen the goal he scored pre-season. He's back in the England squad like that, hasn't he?
Oh well, it was only against Crewe, little old Crewe, but no, it was a great finish. But at the minute, Baz, he'd probably be starting for Newcastle against West Ham a week on Saturday.
Over Joe Linton.
Joe Linton's literally just had his first training session. I think there was rumours that he had to quarantine for 14 days. He'd been somewhere, and basically the club just never told anybody what was going on. And I think he was literally his only first training session was yesterday. He's not been involved in any of the pre-season matches. So I fully expect, if we don't get any strikers in, I fully expect Andy Carroll to start next Saturday because Dwight Gale's out for 3 months with a knee injury. So yeah, I think
there's easy money there then, chaps. First goal scorer. That's a guarantee, that one.
I can't believe you ain't excited with your transfer window either. We've signed a kid from AFC Wimbledon. You're moaning about your free transfers. You're going to be in our shoes, mate. We've got a 16-year-old, I think he is.
Rio's just said here that he heard Richie was going the other way. Poor decision in his opinion. What's your take on
who? Bournemouth? What, going back to Bournemouth?
Yeah, so for Callum Wilson to come to Newcastle, how Newcastle want to do it, they don't want to pay a full fee for him. They want to pay a little bit of money and also give Matt Ritchie to Bournemouth. Ritchie is wanted by Bournemouth. Bournemouth have asked the question, could Matt Ritchie come back? He has only just signed a new deal at Newcastle, new 3-year deal, but he has got family down the South Coast. He was at Bournemouth, if you can remember, a few years ago. I think he's a Portsmouth fan, so it's obviously not a million miles away, right down the South Coast. So that could potentially happen.
Give him my business card if he comes back. I'll
I think
noticed on your shirt, mate. Is it your 125th year anniversary this year too?
No, this was a couple of years ago. This is the one that Declan Rice had a bit of a mare in, and we won 3-0 at St James's, but then he turned out to be a bit good after that. So we haven't really done well against West Ham after that. But no, in all seriousness, with Richie, a lot of fans are quite split on him because Richie's been a great servant for Newcastle since we got relegated a few years ago. And effort-wise, Matt Ritchie would give you 10 out of 10 every week, but the quality sometimes isn't always there. If you're asking me, if Callum Wilson and Ryan Fraser are coming in for Matt Ritchie, I'm doing that deal. They're better than what we've got. He's better than them two together are better than what we've got with Matt Ritchie. So if that's the deal, then I would take that deal.
You could have just quickly before that comes up, you could have a right touch because we've read today, I know as West Ham fans, that Surchek is in quarantine and is likely, or yesterday might have been likely to miss the opening game of the season. Mate, he's a massive plus for us. His engine's really good and he'll be a vital part. And if we lose Rice before the start of the season and Surchek out, you could have a field day, mate. Well, everyone would have a field day against us then because we'll be overrun galore.
I thought Surchek was the best player.
Noble and Wilshere in the middle.
You haven't got legs there, have you? I was just going to say, I thought Surchek was the best player on the park when Newcastle played West Ham at St James's. I thought he was absolutely brilliant and a really, really good player.
James has said, how would you feel if Hayden came to West Ham if that rumour was true?
For me, Isaac Hayden is the first name on the team sheet in the midfield for Newcastle. He's been instrumental, and I think if he was playing for a club that was in around the top six, I think he'd have an England call-up. I think he's that good. So if there is some interest from West Ham in Isaac Hayden, I think he's only got a year left on his contract, and I think that might be why teams like West Ham would probably want to go for him because it wouldn't cost too much to get him out of his contract. Yeah, it's just a bit. No, in all seriousness,
how do you not compare him with Declan Rice then, if he's better than him?
I'll be honest with you, Baz. When Sean Longstaff first came in from literally from the under-23s, he literally started the season under 23s, and then we got a few injuries, and he was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant. His first game, it's one of his first games against Manchester City at St James's, and he was man of the match. Him and Isaac Hayden in the midfield, ironically. They were both absolutely brilliant that day, and he had a fantastic spell from January to the end of until he played West Ham, unfortunately, and he got injured. So he done very, very well, and there was a lot of rumours that Man United wanted to buy him for about 35 million pounds. I think Newcastle wanted about 50 million from him, and he's only played 12 Premier League games. He hasn't had the same sort of same sort of spell that he did that season. This season he's had a handful of a couple of good games, but that's about it. I think he just needs to be played a bit further forward because he's been quite defensive. Apologies, you can hear like drilling in the background. The bathroom's getting done, so I don't know if you can hear that.
I was just about to ask, you getting attacked by us from what?
No, the bathroom's just getting done, so if you can hear some noise, apologies. But no, if Hayden does go to West Ham, you're getting a hell of a player.
Well, I think everyone's just commenting in the chat there, mate. It seems like if we do actually make a move for him and there is something there, it'll only be if Declan Rice is going to Chelsea. So as much as I think a lot of people dig us out about that, I think you've got to hope that he doesn't, because if he does, then that seems like that's the player that we'd like to replace him with. And to be honest, everyone seems like they'd be not overly happy with that situation. But if Hayden does come the other way, it would soften the blow a little bit.
100%. Look, you'd be getting a hell of a player, and I think he would walk into your midfield. He would walk into midfield, especially if you've got Noble, who's a little bit older and probably coming to the end of his career. Wilshere, we know how injury prone Jack Wilshere is. So Isaac Hayden, in my opinion, would be an England player. He would be definitely in the squad if he was playing for a better team. In my opinion, I think he would like to probably move back down south because he is a London boy. He was at Arsenal before he came to Newcastle. He obviously had a couple of loan spells, but no, he's a top player. It's just a shame that Newcastle haven't tied him down any further.
Too good for West Ham? Well, better than West Ham? Better than us?
If you look at the top 6 or 7, could he get into any of the top 6 or 7 first team? Probably not. So you'd have to look at the likes of your Newcastles, your West Hams, your Palaces, the teams like that in that sort of area on the table.
Mate,
I think
don't
he'd be fine.
forget, we've struggled. We've fought relegation the last however many years. That's why I'm asking: is he better than us? What we are? Because we ain't. I don't think we're anything at the minute. Like you just said, I think you've always got that group of clubs like Burnley, Palace, who ain't going to go down. You know they ain't going to, and they're that clubs that are just behind the people that, or the clubs that are in the top 6, 7. You know, Wolves, you know, ain't going to go down. And would he get into Wolves' side? Because again, they're a good side. Is he that good for that sort of level? Because that would be better than West Ham's level then, if that's the case. Because I don't think we're an attraction at all now. And reading what you read every day, if you're a footballer looking to move, why on earth would you want to sign for West Ham? Reading and seeing what goes on day in, day out at that club now.
You say that though, Baz, it's still the Premier League, it's still London, it's still a club that have had history being in the Premier League. West Ham sells itself in a way. I know there's a lot of stuff off the pitch, and I know you know a lot more than me, well, the both used to, about what's going on behind the scenes at West Ham, but you don't need to really chase a player. Like, it's the same for any Premier League club to an extent, who are like, unless you're a top player, because the top players are going to go for the best teams, your Liverpool, Cities, Chelsea's, whatever. But you don't really need to. The players will want to chase you. It's just whether you think they're good enough for West Ham. But going back to what you think about Isaac Hayden, is he better than what Wolves midfielders? If you look at the three, well, they play 2 centre mids, don't they? And Matinho and Neves.
Yeah.
Don't think he's as good as them, but he's not a million miles away off. So that's why I'd probably say he's probably a little bit better than what West Ham, if you're looking at what your narrative is. But he's not a million miles away from them too.
If we do sign him from you, mate, don't expect the cash anytime soon. So you won't have to reinvest the money.
We'll probably buy him and you'll never deal with us again because we won't pay the last lot of instalments.
We've sold 2 players already to pay off Hilaire's bill with Frankfurt, and since we've done that, we now need to sell another player. So we just don't pay. We sign players off clubs and we just don't pay them. So I can't see Mike Ashley wanting to do that business, to be honest with you, because I think the term, as much as you know your thoughts of Mike Ashley, and I know none of you are a big fan of him, he's an astute businessman, and I don't think he'd be silly enough to fall for the way that we try and give you installments all spread over however many years and then miss the payments and all that. I don't think Ashley's that silly, to be honest with you. He's
not, but what he would do, I think he would ask for, if it is installments, he'd want a majority of it up front right now. So say if it was like 78% of it, say it was £10 million, I'm just putting it out in any figure. He'd want at least 7 million up front, so the rest of it can come in small packages. But
what would you take for him? If it was Hayden, what would be the number that you'd be happy to see him go?
For me, if you're looking at 1 year left on the contract, you can you be greedy and ask somewhere between 15 to 20? But again, are West Ham or any club going to pay that with 1 year left on the deal? I don't think so. I think Newcastle are in a bit of a difficult position. You're probably looking at somewhere between 10 to 12 million, which would be an absolute steal, by the way. Newcastle are in a very difficult position.
You sort out his agent and all, because that'd help.
That
helps. I just want to quickly touch on a couple of comments, Frankie, that have popped up. Thomas, Baz, have you heard from Rice? Tom, I'll be honest, mate. I do talk to Declan. I haven't for a while. And even if I had, I certainly wouldn't. And I mean this with respect. And it's not a dig. I wouldn't be talking his business on it. It's not my place to. He's a professional footballer, and things we talk about have to stay between us with some things. That's not telling you anything. As I told you a minute ago, I've not spoke to him for a while. I don't know anything, but even if he was to ring me now and tell me, I would not be putting it out on it. Just like I didn't, I'll be honest now, when he got his contract before, when he had his new contracts at West Ham, before it went public, he rang me and said, I've got good news. I never told no one. That's not my place to. And I certainly wouldn't with a transfer or if he was staying and getting a new deal. It's not my place to. I've got more respect and we're more friends than that. So,
oh dear, look at that, Baz.
Huh?
Look at that.
There you go. It'll be the signing we'll probably go. That's probably why we're looking at him. Jamie, I agree with you, mate.
I was just going to say, Baz, you'll get a phone call off him, and then you'll be straight down the bookies.
No, you know
He's done that before. He's done that before.
I got accused of this last year. So, my camera's gone all blurring out. Up until last season, hang on, mate. Let me get this camera sorted. I don't know how to do it. Last season, we had Man City first game. The 5 years prior to last season, we played Liverpool, Arsenal, Tottenham, Chelsea, and Manchester United first game. So the day before the fixtures were announced last year, I've asked Betway, any chance of a bet on who our first game of the season is bound to be Man City? Tweeted it. I got a response, a DM from Betway. Why are you saying Man City? Explain my theory. I had a bet. Every team 18-1. I had a bet on them and won. But I also had a bet on 2 other clubs. But they accused me of having inside information. Didn't pay me out for like 12 weeks after. Removed me from a charity bet that I used to do for Ireland. Fair play to Betway. They carried on doing it, but they didn't remove me. So again, like you just said, mate, I would never do nothing. I wouldn't jeopardise my friendship with him. And I wouldn't want to, and I wouldn't want to put him in that position. So I would never say nothing. Jamie, the midfield isn't a problem. I agree with you, but the midfield's a massive problem if we lose Rice and get an injury to Surchek. But as a bigger picture, no, it's not a problem. We haven't got any problems at West Ham apart from owning the football club. Even when we look at our left back and right back, that ain't a problem compared to what owners make, in my opinion. There's much, much bigger problems than what we watch on the pitch. And until them problems are eradicated, is that the right word?
We'll go with it, mate. We'll go with it.
Until that happens, I don't think we should worry about anything else. And I've got to be perfect in this. I couldn't care a shit where we finish in the league. I wouldn't care if West Ham finished bottom right now if it meant it was another nail in the coffin for them going. And that's horrible, but that's how I feel towards them.
Chris Harris said, apologies for not catching your name. It's Jonathan, by the way. And he said, we've asked this before, but not today. We asked it on a previous stream, but would you prefer our owners or Mr. Ashley? I was just
going to say, do you know what it is, though? I know we've probably said this before, but both owners don't put themselves in a good light at the best of times. And I know you've had your issues. And I think you've made a very good point. And when I look back at it now, was that the stadium, because that is West Ham was Upton Park, it was the bowling, in the sense that that was your identity, that was your history, that was essentially the heart of the club, and that wasn't in a way ripped away from you. And look, would I ever be happy if we ever moved away from St James's? No, I wouldn't. I think I'd be heartbroken in a way. But in terms of both owners, I wouldn't rather want any at the minute. And especially when you look at the case of that Dean Garner, it just reminds me a little.
Who's your best young prospect, mate, in your team? Who's the number one potential youngster you've got under the age of 20?
Sean
he's 23. No, well, I'll take Matty Longstaff's only just turned 21. Now, he was very, very close to leaving Newcastle. He's just signed a 2-year deal at Newcastle, so not a long term, but enough to keep everybody not talking about it. And I get your point. If he was to leave and go to a club, etc., I would personally.
I think this is the point. It's not just leave. To put it into context, it wouldn't be you selling him now. It would be Ashley selling what I personally think is the best stadium in the Premier League. I think your stadium's superb. Other than Upton Park, it was my favourite stadium in the Premier League. I love that ground. So imagine selling that, and Ashley turns around to you and goes, right, we're going to kick on now. We're going to go and get top 6 within the next 5 years. So that's our plan. That's what we're going to go and do. So you've sold St James's Park. You've walked into an athletic stadium. That's absolutely too bob. Thinking that you're going to get next level, you then go through 3 years of relegation battles, and then all of a sudden they say we're going to build a young team. We want to do the Red Bull model. Give us all this spill, and then they actually turns around to you and goes, right now, obviously Matty Longstaff, he's going out the door, and we're selling him for £12 million. What would the reaction be of the Newcastle fans, mate?
Frankie, you're out of order, mate. You don't appreciate what they've given us, do you? We've got the biggest screens in Europe and everything. How can you slag it off?
Do you know, I just literally bought a new TV today, and I
bet it's bigger than our screen.
It's the second biggest in England. Actually, it's just there's a place down in East London. I think it's got a little bit bigger. No, in all seriousness, no, I take Frankie's point exactly. You know, if you hear, I know we might talk about TalkSport, but Natalie Sawyer, who's in my opinion got a lot more going on than Jim White has nailed it to a T. It is false promises. It really is, and I don't know why, unless it was for their financial gain, why they'd want to say all this. And I think that's what it probably comes down to. They need to sell that football club. It's the same with us. We need new owners just to get something a bit fresh, something new, something different, and kind of, can we rebuild our own football club again? You know, Newcastle and West Ham have been Premier League clubs for as long as I know. We've both had the odd spell in the Championship, but if you say, what are these clubs to you go Premier League football clubs, but we should both, in a way, should be doing better. And I know there's no divine right that a certain club should finish in a certain place, but Newcastle and West Ham are two clubs that should never really be involved in massive relegation battles. They should be a little bit more comfortable than that. But it's been an absolute mess what's going on at West Ham. That Dean Garner had a fantastic season for West Brom. And the fact that he could be going back to West Brom. I even heard Ajax, something said about Ajax. I don't know if that's completely correct, but why do you need to sell someone like him to get money to try and improve? He would improve your club.
Do you know the reason being? Because his transfer is 100% profit for them. That's the thing. You know, if they had gone and sold, I'll give him an example, Anderson, there's still £20 million, or Haller, there's still £20 million owed on him. So you ain't gonna benefit nothing. This is free money for them. And I'll guarantee the deal with add-ons that they're saying is nearly 20 million quid. The 16 that we spoke about is probably what's being paid up top now. That shows the ambition from West Brom. And as I say, this is a club being promoted. West Ham have signed a kid from AFC Wimbledon. And that's no disrespect, or MK Dons, whoever it is, AFC Wimbledon. It's no disrespect to the boy. I don't even know his name. But this is the level we're at after this move. The guarantee, the promises with the move that will come with it. They're vile, mate. They are three vile people.
Is there any rumours about anybody that you're trying to buy?
Yeah, mate, we've probably got a bid in for Messi. We'll bid for everybody. I'm being serious. We will bid for everyone, but we'll sign no one.
This is the problem, mate. We've been linked with so many players. So we was linked with Robinson at the beginning of the window, and then apparently Roy Moyes didn't rate him, which we lost him. Then we was Matty Cash. Apparently he's now going to...
Not good enough. He's signed for Villa.
And every single time with Eze, and then he went to Palace. Every time we're linked with someone and Moyes goes, that's my number one target, a couple of weeks later they sign for someone else and the club turn around and go, Moyes didn't rate him anymore. It's just a joke, mate. It's just
going back to TalkSport as well, mate. Jim White is at West Ham all the time. And he's even admitted it on the show today, how he used to go years ago with Di Canio. He's friends with Golden Sullivan. I've spoken to Jim White hundreds of times personally. He rang me one day after the show and called me and said, I like your passion, blah, blah, blah. Mate, the man's on the payroll. Natalie was bang on the money. You've only got to look at West Ham former players. You've got Jack Collison tweeting them. Jimmy Walker quoting the
Trevor Sinclair just tweeted.
All tweeting the club. What's going on? These are people who understand. These are people who got that connection with the fans and understood. Jack Collison come through the academy. He knows all about it. He knows how they're treating these people. These three, are like, forgetting Brady at the minute, them two people at the top of this club are destroying it all. And sooner or later, no one will want to do business with West Ham because the way they act, like Frankfurt, still owing them money. You know, we was on here last night with Nicky from West Ham Fan TV. We didn't listen to ex-employee who does a podcast on the West Ham Way with Dave Walker. We never heard that. But whilst we was on it, someone put a comment on and said, X has just confirmed the sale of Dean Garner will pay towards that. That was what X has said on the podcast. But I didn't hear it. Apparently, 20 minutes later, X is tweeting the money will go towards defenders. The whole place is a mess. You know, and this is someone who's in the know.
The communication of the club is always the same with us. There's no communication from the top to the fans, and it's becoming a joke for both clubs.
That communication shouldn't even be there. Nobody should know what business they're doing. You know, let's be honest. And with Newcastle, do you have an insider? I don't follow Newcastle on Twitter, so I wouldn't know, and I'm not a fan. Do you have an insider who says this is happening in 2 weeks' time? West Ham have got this happening in a week's time, and then when it's announced, you've got people saying, "Here it is, told you last week about this." Do you have that?
No, but the thing is, these ITKs. They're just ITKs, aren't they?
And it's nothing against him. It's nothing against him, but these ITKs can only get it from the real source, and them sources can only be the people doing the business. It won't get out if not. No, not being funny. The geezer who sells you a club shirt or a burger at half time, he don't know what West Ham's business is. This is only coming from people very high up within the club. And if that's the state that club's in, and all these things have been putting out all the time, we're in bad shape. And bad,
mate. I think a lot of people in the comments, mate, are all saying, you know, we're the similar sort of clubs in that sense that we're both sleeping giants, really. I mean, I think it's hard for me to admit it, but, you know, if I'm going to be completely honest and everything else, I think, you know, in recent years, you've done more than what we've done, but then we've both gone through bad times. I think you still look back at those, you know, almost winning the league season. So I think your expectations are probably a bit more than ours. We actually, as fans, and Joe Cole said it beautifully on BT Sport, mate, we don't actually expect that much. We expect to be rubbish. We've never been any good. It don't matter to us. All we expect is passion from the players that run out on that pitch and give everything that they've got, and for us to have a home like we had before, and for our identity to still be where it is. But that's been ripped up, and that's what's making that's what yesterday Dean Garner was just like pouring petrol on the fire, mate. It was just it only needed one little thing for it to spark, and yesterday it absolutely just blew up. And you know, if we was at Upton Park and everything was good and you know, we were still happy and we had our selling a youngster wouldn't have been the end of the world. We'd have probably looked at that and gone, we do that anyway. We're a selling club. We always sell our players. You know, no one would have been that shocked. But because the way that they've gone about everything, and because of everything's been taken away from us, any little thing like that can just, well, it's not little, it's a big thing, but anything like that can just blow it up, mate. So I think we're both in agreement that new owners are needed, and that's what's most important for our teams to sort of progress now. But you've just been through a real headache of a takeover, and while there was some talks yesterday, I mean, there hasn't been an official bid made, but apparently there are some people that are looking at the club. Where is that situation now with yourselves? What's it like to go through that? Obviously, we don't want to go through that whole story again, but if you touch upon a little bit about where it went from the beginning to where you are now, and you know, should we be careful? A few people have said to me today, you know, you're better the devil you know. At the end of the day, when they sold Birmingham, they sold them to a right two-bob outfit that ended up, you know, putting that club into right dire straits. So, you know, do we need to be careful of whose hands the club ends up in as well?
Just before you answer this, sorry, one sec. Rio, by the way, it's not a dig at X. I'm good friends with X. It's not a dig at him. I see you put about the Chelsea. I'm just saying the communication. He's not the only one. There's others. And he come out yesterday because he was in his job after other people have leaked it. So, as I say, he's not the only one. He confirms a lot of things. I like X. I've got all the time in the world for him. It is not a dig at him. I'm just making the point that this shouldn't happen at any football club. Good luck to the people who get it. Fair play. But they're told from somewhere, and that's my point. It's rotten from the top. It's not just the fan base that's bad. It's rotten from the top.
Yeah, I agree with what Baz is saying. I think if you get information, like, we don't get much information, if any, really. But with anything that we do get, and most of it's off the record anyway. So you're going to keep it to yourself anyway. So, but going back on what you're saying, Frankie, very briefly, Newcastle had a bid which was accepted by Mike Ashley. They put a deposit down of about 17 million, which Mike Ashley has still got to this day, and he'll keep that. With obviously the Saudis, Amanda Staveley, and the Reuben brothers. Basically, it got all the way to the Premier League checks, and if the Premier League approved it, all it was a transfer of funds. The Premier League took 17 weeks, and they still didn't make a decision. And the buyers, and in particular the Saudis, had enough, and the Saudis pulled out. Now, there was a lot of disturbances in terms of the alleged killing of a journalist under the Saudi watch. There was also the piracy issue, when you probably heard Richard Keys probably spouting on about being sports were getting ripped off a little bit. So they were the two big things, really, what was going on, why this takeover wasn't going to happen. And eventually the Saudis lost patience and said, look, we're pulling out. Since then, the Newcastle United Supporters Trust had a meeting with Richard Masters after a lot of pressure from Parliament. Basically, a lot of people writing to the Premier League saying you need to talk to the fans and why this takeover wasn't gone through. So they managed to have a 35-minute meeting with Richard Masters about why this takeover didn't get put through. And now it's back in the buyers' court. They've been told the reasons why they do certain things in regards to trying and getting this takeover to basically resurrect. So again, if this is true about West Ham, it's the same thing. They're still going to have to do the same things whether they wanted to buy Newcastle or West Ham United. So look, the money's there. They're very wealthy. They've bought stakes into so many businesses. So the money's there for you to potentially use. But going back to what you said there, Frankie, if you just want them sold, you want to get rid of your Gould, Sullivan, and Brady to an extent, because you want to see hope. That's what we want. We just want hope. Can we be better? And it's the same for yourselves. You want to see improvement. You want to see West Ham back for yourselves. We want to try and see, can we get a better Newcastle? And I know this. You talk about the slight. And we've had a little bit of a couple of better seasons, but we haven't had that for a long time, and we're sick of just being, oh well, Newcastle stay up this season. Newcastle might just get out of relegation, but well, can we actually knock on the door for the top 10? Can we get into a Europa League spot? I don't think that's for Newcastle or West Ham to respect. Is that out of order to try and aim for top half of the Europa League? I don't think it is personally.
I don't think it is when you look at sides like Wolves that have come from nowhere after rebuilding, not had to get a new stadium like we did and have to move home. They went down divisions to rebuild and come back, and they had a program that they've stuck to, and it's worked. The process they've gone through, and I respect them for that. So I agree with you. I think you're right. What do you think Newcastle's actual level is? And before you answer that, when we spoke last time about the owners, do you remember I said then I worried for you because they queried that bit of money when it was like 30 million quid or something? Do you think that plays a big, whatever the price was, do you think that plays a bit of a part or not? Or do you think it's all solely the Premier League and that's the cover-up?
It was the Premier League, 100%. Right, but the Premier League just needed to make a decision, but they didn't want to. I don't know if I can swear on this channel, but they didn't want to piss anybody off.
All right, don't swear.
Exactly, I knew that was coming.
Liam there has made a really good point, mate. Yeah. How comes do you think Man City owners were allowed to pass through without too much scrutiny, and now all of a sudden, someone like Newcastle was wanting a takeover, or West Ham might be wanting a takeover, and all of a sudden we're looking at them through a lot more detail and a lot more depth?
Well, because the Premier League back then, there was no such thing really as an owner and directors test, and if it wasn't as strict as it is now. Chelsea didn't have anything like that in 2003. Man City didn't have anything in 2008. But because there's been more and more money that's been put into football, in particular the Premier League, of course that the tests are going to be so much more rigorous. Now, the Premier League had 17 weeks in a test that should only take maximum 4 to 5 weeks. How can they not decide in that length of time? And the brutal honest answer is that the Premier League just couldn't decide who to piss off more. Did they piss off the Newcastle and their fans and Mike Ashley, because Mike Ashley wanted this deal to happen. He was probably as annoyed as anybody. Or does he, he pisses off his partners, his commercial partners, and likes of being sports who pay a lot of money. And essentially, it looks like they were going to go down that way, but they just didn't want to reject it. They wanted the buyers to pull out, and the buyers pulled out because they ran out of patience. And look, in terms of the Premier League, they made a right mess of this. They made a massive mess out of this. If they even said 4 weeks in it, no, we're rejecting it because of this reason, this reason, and this reason, then it goes back to the buyers to resurrect that deal by going, well, we sorted this reason now, we sorted this reason now, we're going to sort this reason now. Will you be able to accept it from then on? But they never did that, and that's why Newcastle fans were getting so frustrated. I think I spoke to you twice during lockdown, and we literally were a tick away from having new owners, and that was what was really painful, because we were doing a live video. I was doing a video with 2 of the members on the channel. I think it was like an end of season review or something, and literally halfway through that video I had to stop it because we got told that it had been called off, and within about 20 minutes we were talking about it live, and we were going, how's it all gone wrong? So
from an unselfish opinion, obviously I'm a big boxing fan, love my boxing. The Saudi involvement in that, as much as it's good that it's not in Las Vegas, because it means that the times that the boxing's on is more at a reasonable time to actually watch big fights, and it's on sort of between 10 and 11 o'clock, which is great, rather than it being early hours of the morning. But the fact that gets taken over to Saudi Arabia, and people who have followed boxers' careers all their lives over here, Saudi Arabia is not an attractive place for a lot of people to go. People don't really want to go there. If it's at Wembley Stadium, you get 70,000 people who have followed these fighters for most of their careers, been to all of their small shows in York Hall and that. And, then they get the big night, and all of a sudden they can't go, and the fight's being held in Saudi Arabia. And my concern is having their involvement in the Premier League. We're already losing identity as football clubs. We're already losing, fans that matter to football clubs with that sort of wealth, because they're 20 times richer than the Man City owners. I mean, it's phenomenal wealth. If you look at it through not just wanting to change owners, but from that perspective, do you think it's a good thing for football? Obviously, it would be a good thing for Newcastle United, but is that a good thing for football? And do you think that they would, actually care about you as a fan base if they did own your club?
I think from a selfish point of view, it'd be good for Newcastle if that's the wealth they've got, and by look of it is. And Newcastle are a game changer in terms of that. But there's already Saudi investment in the Premier League. Sheffield United are run by Saudis, so can Sheffield United be owned by a Saudi businessman and Newcastle can't? How does that work? Yeah. So, in terms of that's
what I'm saying. We don't want Saudi owners for every single Premier League football club. That can't be a good thing, can it?
Well, you'd like to think not, because you could say that about Man City in the Abu Dhabi. Their wealth, obviously, I know it's not as much as the Saudis. You're saying it's about 20 times less, but it's still a heck of a lot of money.
There's a lot of Man City fans that were at Main Road who would tell you now that it was a very bad thing for their football club, and regardless of the Premier Leagues that they've won, the trophies they've won, they would say that this club isn't the club that they all loved. They struggle to fill the stadium sometimes, mate. They've lost a lot of their loyal fan base. So, it's great if you just want the glory, but other than that, I'm not sure I'd love to see every single Premier League club owned by foreign investment. Would
you like the Saudis at West Ham?
To be honest with you, mate,
I want Mike Ashley at West Ham.
Do you know what? The only thing, my counter argument to that is, mate, I watched the Sunderland Till I Die program, and we've discussed it, and we had the Sunderland fans on, mate, and they had owners who really did care. And I know he's ended up leaving now and he's had to go, but I love the fact that when the fans didn't want him there, the man was a big enough man to walk. He was so close to those fans. He always said, if you don't want me, I'll go. And he went. I don't want to get into a position where, West Ham are even more distant. These owners are in Saudi Arabia. They've got money. You have no say. You completely lose everything. I'm not sure I'd love it, mate. I'm not.
I would renew my season ticket at West Ham if all their home games are in Saudi Arabia rather than at the London Stadium under Golden Sullivan.
The thing is, though,
I will go bankrupt within a year and getting flights out to watch them every week just to get rid of them crooked pricks.
But the thing is, though, like you talk about the Saudis there, right? If they come in and say, for example, West Ham improve in, year out, and you get into a position, you win an FA Cup, and then a couple of years after you do really well, and you potentially do even better and win a Premier League. I'm not saying it'll happen, but you never know, right? You're going to remember those days for the rest of your life. Now, of course, you'd have liked that at Upton Park or the Bowling Ground, but that's not going to happen. It's going to happen at London Stadium, whether you like it or not. Okay, so if you get that investment and it works, I know Man City have had their time, but you're telling me when Aguero scored in that last minute, going, do you know what? I'd rather play against Rotherham in League Two.
Yeah, true,
They'd rather have that moment against QPR where they win the league and they tell Man United, oh, by the way, do you know we won the league in the last minute after you thought you won it at Sunderland? Look, football is about money, unfortunately. If it's not about money, you'd go and watch, League Two, National League teams. I'm sure there's loads that were around where you are, where you could just go and pay on the day. It's a different ball game. I'm similar to you, Frank. I don't really like it that much in terms of the amount of money that's in.
It's the modern world.
But it's the modern world.
And do you know what? I agree with what you said, Frank. I understand your point massively. I do. And I'd much rather watch West Ham in the 90s at Upton Park than watch West Ham in 2020 in the Premier League. 100%. Whether he's in League Two, then whatever. The old way of football was not how all this sports science crap. Now watching the players with one substitute for 90 minutes, playing 3 times a week. You don't get that now. Them days are gone. That it's changed. It's been ruined by money. We know that. But back to the Man City point with the owners and the Saudi. You look at Chelsea. Chelsea ain't lost their home. They're still at Stamford Bridge, but there's old Chelsea fans who won't go because the people that go now. So it's not just about where it is. I just think it's a different world now, and that's how it's changed so much. You either accept it or you have to walk away from it, in my opinion. I accept it because it is how it is. I don't accept the lies that come with it that we go through. But if West Ham are bought by the Saudis tomorrow, I couldn't care where they're from. If they come to West Ham and threw money in it and we was competing, winning trophies or competing to win trophies, I wouldn't care where they're from. I wouldn't care if they're from, anywhere. It wouldn't matter at all to me. All that would matter to me was the football club I support doing all right, doing something I've never seen in my lifetime. Why would I not want that?
But you've said 1,000 times before, mate, that it was never about that for you as a West Ham fan.
It's not. No,
I'll
mate.
ask you and Johnny right now. If you wanted Newcastle in St James's Park, club owned by Alan Shearer, playing in the Championship, or owned by Saudi Arabian investment, you buy a new stadium that's a modern day stadium like the Emirates or something like that, that you'd have no atmosphere and you don't barely get a song going and all that. What one? But you have a bit of glory and you can have a chance of winning a trophy. What one do you choose? I know what one I choose.
I've never looked at it from that point. It is a very good point. Of course it is, but I don't. Is that too much for a dream? Is that too much for a dream potentially of having like for yourselves? It'd be like, I don't know, Paolo Di Canio or.
But this is the thing.
We've had it before. We tried to have a consortium with Tony Cottee and all those players who wanted to buy a club. Mate, to be honest, they can't afford it. That's the reality. They can't afford the club. So I get that. What I'm just trying to say is I'm not sure for me the be-all and end-all is being owned by rich Saudi Arabian investors who bring a bit of glory to your club. Because, mate, we haven't even got glory. And I don't want to go to that football stadium anymore because the type of stadium it is and the type of thing that the way the modern football world is, Baz, you're not renewing your season ticket. You've said that. And
mate, but I agree with you, but there's a reason why I'm not renewing it. And the reason isn't because of the stadium. The reason is because the owners of the football club. If West Ham was still with these owners at Upton Park, I'd renew because I wouldn't be expecting the change that they promised us. The promises we were given as fans, which, mate, if you went into Range Rover tomorrow to buy a car, right, I'll show you this car for this amount, have all tellies in, have 2 spare tyres, everything, X, Y. You go to pick it up, full tank of diesel, pick it up, it's a different colour, it ain't got no screens, it's got 3 wheels. Are you going to take it? You ain't going to have it because that ain't what you was told. And this is what we was told. I can't have it no more, personally. I don't knock anyone who still does it. That's their choice. My personal opinion is I can't do it. The way you talk now, which I respect and I understand and I'm with you, mate, I'd much rather, for an example, go and support someone like Charlton. That's still real. I know they've got shit ownership now, but that's still real football. The reason I'm not going to watch West Ham no more is because the lies I've had. And the reason I'm not choosing to go and watch maybe Southampton or Bournemouth for a local just to watch Premier League, I don't like that football. I'm going to watch Brockenhurst every week when I can, who are in the Wessex. These are kids or boys. Sorry, I shouldn't have said kids. That's rude. These are boys and men who play for that club with their heart, who care. The owners, mate, they beg for people to walk through their door. We're a number. Modern day football fans are numbers. They don't care about us. Maybe Leicester's an exception. No, Liverpool play how they love their fans so much. I don't believe it. I don't. All they care about is what money and what their books look like at the end of every year. Maybe not Leicester. And the lower you go down the leagues, maybe them clubs don't. A lot of the Championship clubs probably don't care too much about their fans. It's sad, but in my opinion, that's how football is now. And then you either, again, I think you either have to accept it or you have to walk away from it. I'm walking away from it. I could accept it, but I'm walking away from it because of what owns us and what was told to us. I'm not walking away with it because the ground. I don't like the London Stadium. I don't care about that. West Ham could be playing in the local park. I'd go and watch them. West Ham could ground share with Newcastle. I'd go and watch them. That doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is the shit we've been spilt for 7-8 years from these people. Take from us. Nicky hit the nail on the head. The state of this world right now, and all they want is our money. That's what they think of West Ham fans. That's why I've got no interest in them and cannot give them and invest my money into them.
And you think the Saudi Arabian owners could give you what you want and know what you're all about and know what West Ham's all about, mate?
It's not about me, but that's my point. If they come,
it's about all of us. What I'm trying to say is,
no owners.
Our mob are scum, and we know that. And I want them gone as much as anybody else. They are the absolute dirt of the earth. But them Saudi Arabian mob ain't a lot better, mate. I can tell you that.
No, I'm not saying they are, but what would it matter if they come to West Ham? If, let's say, for argument's sake, like with Newcastle, how they are with Ashley and Will.
He's like he's in the middle of us like having a marital here. He's like that awkward guest who's like, "Oh, shall I go home now, or what shall I do?"
Now, Frankie, Baz, if you want to come in and say something.
Listen, if right at this moment, both them football clubs are on the market, and I'm going to give figures for an example, £100 million for sale, and the Premier League was allowing it to go through. If them Saudis come back for West Ham or Newcastle with that price and agreed, and they bought the club, and their words were, we're here to invest to make the team successful, X, Y, Z, and done that, would you care? Would you care about Golden Sullivan now if we moved to that London stadium, competed for European football, competed for trophies, wasn't in relegation battles every year, wasn't selling our prospects like Dean Garner, knowing someone like Declan Rice is going to leave? Would you moan? I wouldn't, because we're moaning now that we're doing these things we were told we wasn't going to do. We can't be hypocritical. I moan and I won't invest into the lies we've been told. That's come too far. Mate, I supported his ownership. When we first moved, I believed it. I fell hook, line and sinker. I went off it. They then got Pellegrini in. They then invested money, which I believed at the time, to support him. As soon as that January came and they didn't support him again, my head turned once more. Mate, there's nothing worse than them. I don't think Pellegrini done a good job. I don't think Pellegrini was the right manager for West Ham. But them two people at the top of this football club are to blame for everything. Not Pellegrini's managerial. They are to blame for everything. They've got too much say, too much influence. And that is the worry, in my opinion.
If West Ham Newcastle next Saturday was, say, there was no coronavirus or whatever, and hopefully that'll be a case that does happen, there's no coronavirus in the world, how many fans, realistically, do you think West Ham Newcastle would get for this game next Saturday? In terms of just the West Ham fans, you say you've got just under 60,000.
You might not know this. You might not know this. West Ham's season ticket renewal was I think the 28th of August. Got extended because people obviously ain't renewing. West Ham's new kit went on sale 3 weeks later. Was then discounted. Obviously not selling.
It's a brand new kit discount.
A brand new kit.
It's like your 125th
125th year anniversary. No one's buying it.
3 weeks after people had pre-ordered it and bought it, they then do a £10 discount. How nice is that to the fans that have already bought it? So they've extended the season ticket sales because they're obviously not selling. So
giving us an option to renew your season ticket at 30%, but you won't be able to go to the games during this situation. So you can pay 30% of your season ticket's value to keep it for next season.
And this is what I was touching on earlier. Nikki from West Ham Fan TV has said it. These are billionaires, these people, or David Sullivan, asking for our money, our 200 quids. When people ain't earned a penny. I've not had one penny paid into my bank account through work, the government or anything since February. Not had a thing. I'm not back to work until some date this month. I don't even know when. But
it's not for Range Rover, is it?
It is for that, mate. Yeah, it is for that. And that's David Sullivan and David Gold wanting my money to secure my seat. They don't care about fans, mate. So when you ask me that question, I think West Ham will be lucky if they've sold 20 to 25,000 season tickets. That's my belief.
Yeah,
and we're thinking before we had 50,000. Apparently, there was another 50,000 on the waiting list. So we've gone from 100,000 wannabe season ticket holders to 30-odd thousand. That's how much it's swung. It's unbelievable, mate.
And to make it even better, they send you text messages. Oh, hold on. I promise you this. They send you text messages every day or every other day. Please renew. Do you want to buy the kit? No, honestly, I don't. Or
you should do though, Baz. In all seriousness, you should write them a text message back and saying, "This is why I'm not buying your t-shirts."
No, they ain't stupid. Text stop to 8321.
Yeah.
To stop the messages. Why is that? So you get another £3 out of me to send stop? No, just keep texting me, Mush. I ain't worried about you.
He's confident for next Saturday.
No.
Do you know what? Which is, until Suchek was a situation today, I was confident. I do think that when we've got our full 11 available to us, I actually think we're all right at the moment. I think if we had Haller, Antonio, Bowen as our attacking threat, I think they're a very, very good attacking threat. We were scoring goals for fun towards the end of the season now. And, you know, as much as our shaky bit is the defence, I still think we would have had enough to deal with Andy Carroll up there on his own. Now, knowing that you've got limited options in the striker front, you know, when our fixtures come out, that was another storm, because we've got yourselves, then we've got following that we've got Arsenal, then we've got Wolves, Leicester, then Man City, Tottenham, We had a real tough start. So everyone looked at it and said, after sort of 6-7 games, we could end up with no points. So our club are actually, and all of our fan base are seeing the game with you as a 6-pointer already. It's the first game of the season, and we're seeing it as a 6-pointer because after you, we've got a really tough run. So we're going to be going into that game knowing that what games follow that, your game is the one where we've really got the best chance of picking up 3 points. So that's our mentality on that one.
Well, Baz was talking about. Oh, sorry, mate. I was just going to say that because you spoke about the fact that the last few years you've had like Liverpool and Chelsea and Spurs and all that. We've pretty much had the similar, like the opening day of the season. We've had Man City's, the Man Uniteds. We've had Arsenal and Tottenham for the last 3 seasons a few times. So we've been used to that for our first game being a top 6 team. Now we're probably going in very much at an even stage between the two clubs that I think both teams will go, do you know what? I think we both fancy it, but I'd happily take a point next week. I really would. I think there's still some good players. Like I like Yarmolenko. I think he's a very good player. But
he's good when he can stay fit, mate. That's the he loves an injury, and that's the problem. He is dangerous. He scored in pre-season. He was scoring.
As Peter Beardsley now, no, and I mean Peter Beardsley now.
He is slow, mate. He is slow, and I don't know. It's a tough one. I've gone from very confident to I'm not too sure. If Declan Rice lines up there, mate, we've got half a chance. If Souček is so important to us, mate. He transformed that midfield when he came in after the break, and I know he played a couple of games before, but after that break, he made such a difference. He gets forward, he scores goals. He's a threat, but he can also hold when he needs to hold. He's brilliant defensively, mate. He is so important to us, and if he is going to miss that game due to quarantine, it's going to be a big loss to us, mate. A big loss.
I'm saying I'm not confident because I'm not confident Declan Rice will be in a West Ham shirt. If he is, then and he starts, then we have a chance. So I was jumping the gun a bit. How about you? You confident coming to our place with the state of it at the minute?
I worry us going forward. If we haven't got a striker in before next Saturday, then I will worry a bit. Even if Ryan Fraser does come to Newcastle, he's not match fit, so he'll not play for the first few games. So look, we do need a striker going forward because I say Gale scored 4 goals for us last season and played about 10 games, 11 games, or 3 goals in 10 games, and Carroll didn't get anything last season. Joe Linton got 2 goals. We need someone that can put the ball in it, and a bit like a Rondon the season before that got us out of trouble, and we weren't really in any relegation battle. The only difference with last season was we had about 10 defenders all on the score sheet, so we managed to kind of get away from it. Look, I think both clubs would. I'd say both clubs. I think Newcastle would take a point away from home. I think West Ham. Look, I didn't realise the games you got after us. To be honest, I think West Ham need 3 points. They really need 3 points when you look at those next few games. So if you offer me a point next week, I'll take that. But we've got some options if we play like we can and we play like we did at West Ham last year. You know, who knows? But you haven't got Roberto in goal this time, so we might be a bit more difficult.
Did we have Zabaleta at right back against St Maximum as well, whatever his name is?
St Maximum really ended the season well for us.
To be fair, I think Zabaleta would beat Yarmolenko in the race.
Kent Hammer's here, mate. He knows his stuff. I mean, this thing is so knowledgeable about our club. I mean, he's superb. But he said Fraser and St Maximin and Wilson would tear us apart if Newcastle get those players before we play them. Mate, we just massively lack sort of defensive capabilities, mate. Cresswell, well, we do lack ownership, but Cresswell's a nightmare, mate. He's so suspect. Diop ain't been in form. Right back, we're probably going to have either Fredericks or Johnson, who's a real youngster. Can have a really good game, but inexperienced. I mean, if you can get our fullbacks, I don't know what you're like on the width. Obviously, we know St Maximum. I don't know on the other side, but we're so vulnerable at our fullbacks. We're screaming. We're all sitting here as fans screaming out. We are desperate for fullbacks. I can't remember the last time we ain't signed a fullback in something like 10 years. Like it's just unbelievable when the last time we signed a fullback for. That was exaggerating a bit, but it's been a long time. We are desperate for a fullback, mate. And if you can get at them, mate, we'll struggle in that position. Really struggle.
ASM's the player for us. If on that wing, if he can get the ball and he plays like anything that he can towards the back end of the last season, because this is a big season for him in a way, because if he can do well at Newcastle for another season, we'll not keep a hold of him. And because he is that good. But Almiron's had spells on the wing, but I think he's better in the central position. Jacob Murphy's coming in a little bit of form in the pre-season. Again, but is he Premier League proven, Premier League ready? There's always question marks about him. I don't know. I think for me, Shelvey again, he seems to be the man at the minute when him and Hayden are on form, and you're going forward. You've got St. Maximin, you've got Almir on, and if them four can kind of all gel together, and then we do get a Callum Wilson, and I fancy Newcastle to do all right, but it's still, it wouldn't surprise me if it finished 0-0 next week and we're last on match today and we're talking about how much of a bore fest it was, and then we'll see how he's got on against Arsenal a week later, and then we've got whoever. I think it's Brighton the week after that. So yeah, I'll take a point right now if you're offering it, but if Moyes doesn't get a win next week, I can't see him being at West Ham much longer.
But he will. He'll be there for ages. No, he will. He does what he's told.
Yeah.
There's no way. Why would they get rid of him? They're going to have someone who's going to say to him, David Moyes should have retired today. Not retired, resigned. I kept saying retired last night.
He should have retired, I know.
Yeah, he should have done that the other day. He should have resigned today. If he's told the football club, I want that player to play with me, the player said I want to stay. Nah, you're all right, mate. You're gone. Yeah,
it's funny though. Ex-mate, he was saying last night that he was, and he warned Dave, because Dave turned around and said, if Moyes should do the same, and X turned around and said, look, you can't say that. I think X firmly believes Moyes was happy with Grady Diangana being sold.
Right,
because he wants money. That's why. Yeah. He wants money to come in the club so he can buy his own players. That's why he wants to get them.
And again, this isn't a dig at X before anyone thinks it. This is what X is being told, that he's happy with that. He doesn't work with David Moyes to know that. This is being fed to him. They feed what they want us to hear.
It's true.
That's the problem. There's the stories that come out, and it's like this takeover thing. And I've said to you, I've no reason to lie. I have it on my phone. It's not my place to put it out in public. I know that football club were offered for a price. I know it 100%.
I think, mate, explain that in a little bit more detail, because when you say that, I think people get confused. Okay, they think someone's bid for the club. No, it's not that, is it?
I've done this yesterday, and I probably worded it wrong on the tweet when I put about the 400. I didn't know the figures, but I was told yesterday that West Ham refused a £400 million bid for the club, as their their value is 800 million. That's what I tweeted. So the tweet is probably read wrong. The football club was offered for a price.
So the football club offered it to potential buyers for the figure that they wanted.
I don't know the figure. So I heard yesterday the 400 and 800. So now I'm thinking them figures are the price offered was 400. Offered to West Ham for 800. And the people who it was offered to have said, you're worth 400. For argument's sake. That's what's happened. That story's not come out from Claret & Hugh, from X, because it isn't what these want to be seen. I know it. I've got the thingy. I've seen the picture of the email. I've no reason.
What was the price tag on your club, Johnny?
About 300 mil. But again, you're in a better position. You're in London. That's an extra 100 million.
800 million.
It's not 800 million. West Ham's not worth that any stretch. I'm surprised Declan Rice told you that, Baz, to be honest. But no, I would say West Ham. I think 400 million for West Ham is a very fair price compared to what I think you are worth more than us, because of the fact that you've got one of the best stadiums and where you are in London as well.
We don't own that stadium. We've got nothing. There's no asset to West Ham. Every player it's got is being sold. They're stripping that. You look at our training facilities. It's a glorified park. It's a clubhouse been done up with a canteen in it.
Ours isn't much better, by the way.
But you look at someone like Sunderland, who have everything. Everything's there. That's what earned them money. That's what, there's a reason why Abramovich bought Chelsea. And if you've read the book, in there it says he flew to Tottenham to buy Tottenham. On the way back, flew over Stamford Bridge and said, who's that? What's that on there? And it was the hotel. It was a business that earned him money. It was the reason he bought Chelsea.
But the thing is, though, London's massive. London is huge. That plays into a lot of business minds. If you're in the capital, it doesn't matter if you're going to buy Wimbledon, West Ham, who else is there? Charlton, whoever. It's in London. It's such a massive ocean to go, right, I'm going to go and get that club. And they might have to spend a little bit more to get that club. But it wouldn't surprise me, Baz, if you get 2 or 3 consortiums in the next 2 weeks that'll probably go, we're kind of near a price now. Do we want to get into this sort of bidding war? And that might happen, but you need one thing. You definitely need is willing buyers. Another thing is you need willing sellers. And are those willing sellers?
No, and that's the reason their valuation is at the £800 million mark that's quoted.
Yeah,
because they don't want to sell it. And it's been their plan from day one. It's to pass it on to the boys. That's their plan. I know that.
I hope not.
I'm telling you, X has confirmed that before.
I'll rip that stadium down brick by brick if that little devil spawn gets that club.
That's their plan. You know, them plans have come out. We already know that. They've told us that. X has confirmed that. I'm sure I don't follow them, mate. I don't look. I don't listen to any other podcasts or anything like that or forums. I'm sure Clarence and Hugh have confirmed that in the past. That's their plan. Not to sell it, it's for that. That's why the valuation is so high. They don't want West Ham to sell.
I can't have that.
They will sell that club. I think they would have sold that club now if they owned that ground. Yeah. And it was worth 800 million.
Because then it is worth 800 million. If they own the land, it's worth 800 million.
And they don't give away none of it because it's theirs. The whole lot of it's their money. And let's not forget, if they own that football club, and this is for argument's sake, if they own that football club and it was worth £800 million, they own that ground and sold it for 800 million. It's not just £800 million they get. Don't forget the money that the football club owe them.
Yeah.
Don't forget all these loans that they still owe on players. The money from them will be owed to them. So that 800 million will probably become £1 billion.
Yeah.
With what's owed, and this is how rotten we are. I cannot understand how it has not been investigated that much.
No, it's crazy, mate. This is why I love this channel, mate, for messages like this. It is the most Cockney channel around. Why go there and feed them divs? That's my view. Would you go back if you had bad pie and mash? I think we all know we wouldn't. The best way to hurt them is through their Sky, which is obviously Skyrocket Pocket for Johnny. So that's what we're saying, mate. I think that's why the season tickets are down. That's why the shirts are not being purchased. I think the fans are starting to turn their back, mate, and try. And it is proving that that's happening because they ain't got a tanner, mate, not a penny. So if they keep going through it and there is no money, why would they want to keep on with that football club? I know there's other ways they get money out, their loans, their interest and all that sort of stuff. But if you're making it that difficult for them and they're sitting there looking at it going, we've got to put our own money in out of our own pockets now, as much as they can charge interest on it, they'll soon get fed up with it, mate. And hopefully we'll get the result that we're looking for.
Well, I think everybody does at the end of the day. I think everybody's a football fan, regardless of rivalries. That as long as there's some sort of hope and that you can eventually get this.
Mate, we see it when who was the football club, Bury and Bolton, when they were in trouble. You see football fans' reactions. This shouldn't happen. Premier League should step in. No football fan wants to see another club fold. You know, and I'll probably get abuse for this. As much as I dislike Tottenham, I wouldn't want to see Tottenham fold. You know, and I suppose Newcastle fans would. Really?
Yeah, mate.
All right, so, mate, we can use this. How did you feel, Johnny, when it happened to Sunderland? When it went really bad? Was you laughing or did you feel a bit for them?
I've got family that are Sunderland fans, so it's a tough where I am. But in all seriousness, look, you can laugh immediately. Like for us, we have a song that you laughed at us when we went down, but who's laughing now? Because they've been back relegations and they're stuck in League One for 3 years. I was in Turkey when they played Charlton, ironically, in the League One playoff final. And the stream went off, and my mate, who's a massive Newcastle fan as well, he says, "You'll not believe what's happened. Sunderland have lost in the last minute at Charlton." And all you could think was laugh. You had to laugh. You think, "Oh my God!" But for the sake of North East football, saying that we've just been beat off Borough 5-1, which doesn't help us, but North East football isn't in a great space at the minute. It really is in a great place, rather. It's not. It's especially in the way the world is. So obviously in the North East, it's low disposable incomes. You've got to try and earn as much as you can in whatever you're doing, and whatever you've got a little bit extra on the side, you go to the match. That's what it always has been, Newcastle or Sunderland for that matter. But in terms of Sunderland, look, for me, I can't help but laugh. But you don't want them to be that bad. Yeah. Would you laugh if Spurs got back-to-back relegations after spending £1 billion on a station?
Relegated, yes, 100%.
Yeah,
I would not laugh if I see that Tottenham are going to be wound up.
be fair, then you miss the away day. You must miss playing Sunderland, mate, as an away day. The only reason why I'd want it to still be around us is because I like the day out, and that's it's such an atmosphere. You know, in that championship at the moment, mate, there's hardly any derbies this year. You know, when you've got your rivals, you want to play them, don't you? You don't want to not play them. So it's
but that's why people used to look forward to playing clubs like Leeds. Because of what they was, you know, and it's nice to see. Mate, football fans are happy Leeds are back in the Premier League, so they deserve to.
We are as well.
Only because of where they were.
Yeah. Baz, you've got a date with a cheat on Sunday, mate. He's Rio is down at the Brockenhurst game on Sunday against Hamworthy.
Mate, Rio, I'm there Saturday. They've got Hamworthy on Saturday at home. I was up there the other night. They lost.
That's what he's saying. He's saying Hamworthy. He's saying it's on Sunday.
No, they've got not Hamworthy. They got Cows from the right, the first team on Saturday. Is that he's going there Sunday, or he was there last Sunday?
No, he's going there Sunday.
Okay, I might pop down Sunday then. Come watch the under 18s.
I think everyone said we'll wrap it up now, mate. But I think everyone's in the same opinion, mate. Newcastle, best away day for me, mate, by a mile. Love going out in the town. Love going up there, mate. Quality stadium. It is. The proper club, mate, and I do love going up there. So shame, mate, because you know at the end, I just hope that by the time it comes around that away fixture, that we'll be able to get up there, mate. I really do.
Yeah, we'll have to have a few beers when you come up as well. Drop us in the water, mate. Get something sorted. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully, I don't know if Baz will come back to Newcastle West Ham. He doesn't like those stairs, but I don't know if there's a pint on the end of it. He might be all right with it.
You're getting in one of the Flash directors' boxes, mate. You're getting in there.
I've lost a bit of timber since the last time I went, so I'll probably jog up them now.
Good man.
And what's the prediction, chaps, for the game? Obviously, other than Andy Carroll being a bang on to get a goal, what's the score predictions?
I'll go 1-1. I do think that I think you will score. I'll go 1-1 and I'll take a point, and I'll go back to Newcastle with a point in my hand.
2-1 West Ham. If Declan Rice is playing for West Ham. If Declan Rice ain't playing for West Ham, 2-1 Newcastle.
I'm going to go 2-2. So there you go. Well, good luck for the season, mate. Hope you do all right. And well, it'd be nice to see us both get that Saudi money then, I suppose, mate. They've got enough of it, so why can't they have the pair of us? So
exactly.
You never know. We might get lucky.
If it happens for us and not you, please make sure if it happened, you do not let Golden Sullivan anywhere near your club.
Don't let them take it.
We'll go to say. Just don't. Just burn the ground down, whatever you got to do. Not let them near you.
Well, best of luck for yourselves, lads, as well. Hopefully we'll both be right this season.
All the best, mate. Stay safe. Mate. Good luck to Newcastle and all their fans throughout the season. We'll catch up. Can we do a little thingy after the game? We have a little.
Of course, you can. Yeah, just go drop the text.
Vice in the season, top man. Nice one, Frankie. Thank you all for joining in. Thanks for your
back
comment
tonight, mate, for the fans. So anyone wants to join in, a message to the board video being recorded tonight, which is an open forum for all fans to come on and have their say.
And
don't matter whether it's good or bad.
Exactly that. If you're balled in, come and talk to us. Tell us why you're balled in. Jim White, get on here, son. Come and tell us why you love David Gold and David Sullivan. We ain't going to charge you 13p a minute, 15p on our show. So get on here.